This is the oil chart that's on a daily basis, and you can see the supposed bull flag maybe is broken, or I don't know. I think, well, technically, technical people would tell you this market is fixing to fall. It might, but I'm looking at something else. I'm not sure about what kind of news stories are going to be out there. And there's a lot of talk about something happening in Turkey against American interest, and there's also Israelis inside of Iran getting ready for an attack. And there's a window that if Obama doesn't do something with these nuclear program within 3 months, Israel will attack. Now, Israel's being pretty quiet lately, so that actually gives me more reason to think something may be coming up. And, well, I'm not going to even go by Lindsey Williams so much, but, I think his information is somewhat useful. But, the actual news stories are obvious. This market can change very quickly. Like, if you take this one day here, I think it was around March or February 29th, we had this spike in oil. I don't know if it was that day, if that was, I might have been around that day. We had a spike because there was a fake story out there about an oil pipeline that was attacked. It was totally fake. One oil pipeline in Saudi drove the markets up to like 110, like nothing. And that's what can happen here. And I'm thinking it can happen. Now the fund I'm using is double leverage, not triple leverage. And I talked about a couple times how these funds erode. Triple leverage, I think, is good if you're if you know something's coming up for a fact, but I don't know how you would know that. Somebody could throw you a curveball. But say, for instance, back on January 3rd, this UCO was about 44.36, say 44 and a third dollars, and today it's about 43. So it erode. That's I'm picking out these 2 points because that's about 3 months ago, and the price eroded about 3%, maybe less than that, less than 3%, because the price of oil was approximately the same on that date as it is today, Friday, March 30th. So it's approximately, say it eroded, and it depends on how volatile the commodity is. I mean, if this thing went to $25 to $150 to $25 to, well, if you pick that direction, you'd be gazillion dollars. But the more volatile it is, the faster it erodes. It's not just over time, it's over how much movement the underlying commodity makes a price move. But you can hold a double leverage for a while as long as you're in a general right direction. You're holding it in the right direction. I consider oil to be in a bull market. Something could drive this up to 120, no problem. And I'll probably dump it around there, or maybe half of it at 115 or something, which would give me better gains than just holding the underlying commodity. I might play it just like that. Now, double leverage, like I said, you can hold a while before it erodes so much that you have to get some ridiculously hard gain for it to go up. So it's not that bad. Triple leverage, like I said, I'm not too keen on that stuff, unless it's for a day. The silver market, I'm still holding double leverage on a short position, and also some on the gold, but mainly on the silver. I think the silver can move more radically. It depends on which way it goes. Now, if this thing goes up near 35, I'm going to say I failed on this estimate of which way this market's going to go. And actually, to be break even, I have to be around, maybe with some of this eroding now, maybe about 31.30 to break even on that. But I consider this thing's probably going to go below 30, and I'm going to wait. Now, at one point in time, I thought it was going to hit the bottom around mid-April or end of April. It would be down maybe below 26, around here. That's a hell of a move. But, if you're looking at this time frame, I see when was the price at this right around here, right? This was December 11th, and 3 weeks later, it was down here. So, here it is, less than April 1. It's March 30th. 3 weeks later, could be putting around April 20th. It could be down here, if it did this same type of movement. But something's going to happen pretty soon, I would think. Very difficult to say, and I don't feel comfortable about shorting silver because it's a metal I think is going to go up, but just not in the short term. And like I said, I'm using double leverage, and I'm going to hold off for a while till I think, if it goes up this far or something like that, I'm going to say I'm wrong. But there's other indications I'm thinking behind the scenes about some euro problems that is going to make the case for this, an accurate decision, I hope. Now, going on a weekly chart, on the oil, you notice that, the markets in oil and silver, they kind of roughly follow each other sometimes, but not all the time. They seem to get a good correlation when they're both in a hard bull run. Like for instance, when we had early 2011, oil went in a hard bull run, right? It went up like crazy, right? What happened here with silver? Same thing. A lot of times the correlation gets a lot better. And even looking from this first quarter in 2012, oil's been kind of in a bull run. Same thing here with silver, kind of in a bull run, not too bad. But then sometimes when one commodity can just tumble and the other one could not tumble. And a good example is looking at what happened with the oil market when they had to downgrade, the S&P downgraded the U.S. debt. And, there was already, look what happened here. It just fell right through the floor. August 7th, right? It touched down to actually $75 during that week. It was ridiculously low. And what was silver at that time? August 8th, it was up around $40 roughly $40. So there isn't always a correlation. That's why I'm actually long on oil and short on silver. And I think there is going to be some kind of problem with the European situation. And it seems like what's been going on for the last 6 months is that anytime there's a problem with the euro, it affects silver more than it affects oil, because the oil market is being driven up by the situation in Iran. Very simply put. Now, there's plenty of other signs out there. This is another one, simple story. But, the reason the oil market kind of tanked a little bit this week was because there was some more stories about releasing oil from strategic oil reserves by the United States, France, and the UK. Now, I don't know if that's a confirmed story, but it was something that was said and that had an influence on the market. But there's a lot of other counter stories out there, like for instance, they're talking about Obama's pushing for tough new sanctions aimed at crippling Iran and their ability to export oil. So they are already taking a lot of oil off the market, and the fact that they at least has this rumor out there that they're going to release oil from stockpiles tells me, the market is getting short on oil. So I'd imagine the price is going to go up. Sometimes when this initial news comes out, it affects the market, and then what happens is the market takes a rebound. And we saw this happen just recently. One day it was down, and then it recovered. It was just a rumor. It actually went down and it went up. And that might be the case over here too. Technically this can actually go down, but say it does go down, I'm still going to hold it, because as I pointed out on this Pro Shares, this fund, it does erode, but it doesn't erode that fast. I mean, you can hold it a few months and say for instance you make a 10% move on oil and your underlying commodity, maybe you're not going to make 20%, but you're going to make 15%. So it's still going to return some pretty. It's still going to do pretty good. So that's kind of how I'm playing this. I have some patience with it. I'm not going to play around in and out, in and out. And now sometimes I do that because I see an opportunity. But I generally don't like doing that type of stuff. But if I see this thing spring up to like 115, 120, that there's definitely going to be some sales on this, and that's how I'm going to play it. Now, as far as the silver, I would like to see it go down to 25. Buy this stuff up cheap. Get out of this short position. I don't feel comfortable with shorting silver either, and but I think it's going to play out here pretty soon because, like I said, the way this pattern is, it's going to have to play out within the next couple weeks, or else, I'm figuring this is like a cycle. It's going in and out, and it's going to go down again, just like this whole pattern showing lower lows and lower highs. And this is a double top basically here on a weekly, between these two. So a lot of things are indicating that, this is going to tank. Now, I don't know about the 25 either. I'm too bullish on the metal, but I never thought the damn thing was going to go down to 27 at the end of the year, too. To me, like I said, I'm too bullish on this metal, and it's hard for me to actually think of being in a short position, but I'm still holding in on this. But like I said, the ZSL will not, the double leverage won't erode that fast. So if it does get down like 30 or below, I'll have some pretty good gains on it, and that's what I'll do.